ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। Namaste. Now we will see the 26th verse of Shri Vishnu Sahasranama and the meanings of the namas therein based on Shri Shankaracharya's Bhashya. First, the verse Suprasadah Prasannatma Vishvadhrug Vishvabhug Vibhuhu Satkarta Satkrita Sadhur Janhur Narayano Naraha. The namas herein are Suprasadaha, Prasannatma, Vishvadhrug, Vishvabhug, Vibhuhu, Satkarta, Satkritaha, Sadhuhu, Janhuhu, Narayanaha, Naraha. Now we will see the meaning of each of these namas. The first term is Suprasadaha. Shobhanaha prasadaha yasya apakaravatamaphi Shishupaladinam moksha pradatrtvaditi. By granting liberation to Shishupala and others who harbored hatred, he is wonderfully pleased. So the term Suprasadaha, it has two components, Su and Prasada. Prasada means Prasadastu Prasannata, the one who is pleased, the one who is happy. Suprasadaha, Su here means Shobhanaha, wonderful, great. So the great sense or the great pleasantness, in the state of great pleasantness, the Paramatma is in. How do we know? Acharya explains that apakaravatamaphi, even those who did not help or who were against, who hated Krishna in the Krishna Avatara, so even they were granted moksha by the Lord, and hence the Paramatman being the grantor of liberation, grantor of the great state of blissful existence, even to Shishupala and others, he is in the wonderful, pleasant state of mind. Second term, Prasannatma. Couple of interpretations are there for this term. The first one is Rajastamobhyam Akalushitaha Atma Antahkaranam Asyeti. The one whose mind is never maligned by Rajas and Tamas. So here again we see in the term two components, Prasanna Atma. So what is the meaning of the term Atma here? The term Atma has so many meanings. Previously, elsewhere we saw that Atma means Swarupam, nature. But here the term Atma means Antahkaranam. Antahkarana is the mind, the Chittam. So that is the meaning of the term Atma and Prasanna Atma. So Prasanna here is presented as Akalushita, is non-maligned, is pure. So what will the mind or how will the mind become impure? Acharya explains that the mind becomes impure by Rajas and Tamas. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, we see that Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. Kama, Krodha, anger, desire, all these undesirable uh, natures or attributes of the mind, they manifest because of rajas, and by tamas, the lethargy, the gloom, all such negative tendencies manifest in the mind, and they malign the mind, they make the mind impure. But Paramatma is a Prasannatma who is not touched by these rajas and tamas that which cause impurity to the mind. Hence, Paramatman here is denoted as Prasannatma. The next term is, or the next interpretation is, Karunardra Swabhavatvadva. Yadva Prasanna Swabhavaha Karunikaha. Endowed with a compassionate nature or a pleasant nature. Compassionate. He is compassionate. So Prasanna Atma also means, so the pleasantness is manifest through his compassion. So the one who is compassionate, he means, so the Paramatman is compassionate because of his pleasant state of mind. So he's always in a pleasant state of mind, and hence he is compassionate. That's the second interpretation. Now we go into the third interpretation given by Acharya. Acharya says, Apta Sarvakamatvadva, the one who has achieved all his desires and hence pleasant. So who will be happy, content, and accomplished, will have a sense of accomplishment. So the point is, who will have naturally a state of pleasantness? The person who feels that, yes, I have attained everything that needs to be attained. Nothing new is to be acquired or attained. So the one who has such a state of contentment, he naturally is Prasannatma. So contentment is further presented as a cause for the prasannata. So being always in a state of contentment makes or leads to prasannata. And as we saw in the previous interpretation, prasannata leads to compassion. And further, how can, going to the root further, how can one attain the state of uh, being uh, content or happy if the mind is free from rajas and tamas? Naturally there will be santosha, apta kamatva. When there is santosha, then naturally there will be compassion. So overcoming rajas and tamas, a person becomes happy and content. A person who is happy and content has a pleasant state of mind. A person who has a pleasant state of mind is naturally compassionate. So this beautiful chain of positivity is brought out through the interpretation, the various interpretations given by Acharya to this term Prasanna. The next term is Vishwadhrug. Vishwam Dhrushnoti. The one who is proud of the world. So Dhrushnoti means being proud. Vishwam Dhrushnoti. So the one who is proud of the world, in the sense that the Paramatman has created the universe, and being the creator, he is proud of his uh, creation, and he also tirelessly, ceaselessly works to protect, sustain his creation. And hence, so the creation is the proud manifestation of the Paramatman. In that sense, the term Vishwadrik indicates that the Paramatman is the proud or the wonderful creator of this universe. The next term is Vishwabhug. Vishwam bhunkte bhunakti palayati iti va. The one who experiences or enjoys or governs or takes care of the universe. He is Vishwabhug. So here the two components are Vishwabhug. So Bhug can mean two things. Vishwam bhunkte. Bhunkte means the one who experiences or enjoys. So being the Jivatman, the Jivatmans experience the world. The bhoga of the universe is for the Jivatmans. And so the Paramatman in the form of Jivatman, he experiences the world. So Vishwabhuk, or being the Ishvara, Vishwam Bhunakti. Bhunakti means Palayati, the one who governs, the one who takes care, the one who is the sustainer, protector, nourisher of the universe. So being the Ishvara, he is Vishwabhuk, the one who governs, protects, nourishes. Being the Jivatman, he is Vishwabhuk, the one who enjoys or experiences the world. Hence, the term Vishwabhuk indicates both the Jivatman and the Ishwaratva of the Paramatman. The fifth term is Vibhuhu. Hiranyagarbhadirupena vividham bhavati iti Vibhuhu. The one who manifests in various forms, including Hiranyagarbha, is Vibhuhu. The term Vibhuhu is interpreted as Vividham Bhavati. Vibhu. Vi indicates Vividha and Bhavati is Bhu. So the one who manifests in various forms. So various forms includes Hiranyagarbhadi Rupena. Hiranyagarbha is the creator. So in the form of creator, and as seen in the previous namas, in the form of Rudra, in the form of Kala, in the form of Surya, in the form of Vanhi, it is the Paramatman in these diverse forms he manifests. All these are the powers, glories, and the manifestations of the Paramatman. Hence, being or expressing himself through various manifestation, the Paramatman is denoted by the term Vibhuhu. Even in the Veda, the Mundakopanishad, it terms or it gives the term Vibhu. Nityam Vibhum iti mantra varnat. So the Paramatman is glorified even in the Mundakopanishad by the term Vibhu. The next term is Satkarta. Satkaroti Pujayati iti Satkarta. The one who worships. So Satkara means worshipping. So the one who does the Satkara is Satkarta. So the Bhagavan is here very interestingly presented as the one who worships. Yes, of course, the Bhagavan worships his devotees and he presents the example. For example, when we see in the Bhagavata, Sudama goes to the place of Shri Krishna and Shri Krishna salutes and worships Sudama, gives the Atithi Satkara in the very right manner, and then he interacts with him and blesses. So he worships and blesses. And even we see in the Mahabharata war that after the end of the day's war, Krishna used to take care of the horses, provide them with water, provide them with food, and he used to caress those horses. There he in by taking care of the horses, by worshipping the horses in that way, Krishna indicates that work is worship. So in that sense also, being a karma yogi, so by loving, by worshipping his work, he is the Satkarta. By worshipping those who deserve to be worshipped, like Sudhama and others, he is Satkarta. The next term is Satkritaha. Pujitairapi Pujitaha. The one who is worshipped by even the revered. In the previous term, we saw that the Paramatman is Satkarta, the one who worships and thereby establishes the ideal way of living. He is a role model. And here he is presented as Satkritaha, the one who is worshipped. Worshipped by whom? Even by the highly respected sage Vyasa, Bhishma, and very respected personalities in the Mahabharata, in the context of Mahabharata and Bhagavata. We see all they respect Shri Krishna, and because of his most respected nature, the Agra Puja was also offered to Shri Krishna, and hence the Paramatman. And even in the uh, Yoga Sutra, we see Sa Purvesham api Guruhu Kalena Anavachedat. So he is the Guru of even he is the teacher of even the earlier or the primordial beings like Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, and others. So being the teacher of Hiranyagarbha and others, he is worshipped by the highly revered creator and such other higher beings also, and hence he is Satkritaha. The next term is Sadhuhu. There are a few interpretations to the term Sadhuhu. Nyaya pravrittataya Sadhuhu, the one who abides by righteousness. So Sadhu, here in the first instance, Acharya interprets it as Nyaya Pravritta, the one who takes the path of the righteousness. So in Ramayana, being the Maryada Purushottama, the Lord has indicated his sadhutva, Nyaya Pravritti. So Nyaya Pravritta becomes sadhu, the pious, the noble. Then Sadhayatiti va sadhya bhedan, the one who achieves all that is achievable. So sadhu also means the one who accomplishes, the one who is very capable in achieving the most difficult, the most complex, the most intricate things also. We see the Sutradhara of Mahabharata is Lord Krishna. He achieves the seemingly impossible things in many instances. So, the one who achieves everything, the one who is greatly adept in achieving, accomplishing various goals. So, in that sense, also, the term sadhu, the great achiever. The third uh, interpretation is upadanat sadhyamatra sadhako va, being the proximate cause, the one who is the achiever of all that is being achieved. So the Paramatman is the upadana karana. So as the mud is is non-differentiable from the pot. So the mud is present everywhere in the pot. Similarly, in the creation, the Paramatman is the Upadana Karana. He is everywhere in the creation, and hence whatever is being achieved is achieved only by the Paramatman. So this is an extension of the previous interpretation. So sadhayati iti sadhu, the one who achieves. So previously the interpretation indicated that the skillfulness, the adeptness, that aspect of achieving, accomplishing things was brought out. Here, being omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, that is Sarvavyapi, Sarvashakta, and Sarvajna, the Paramatman is the one who really achieves. Whatever is achieved is in essence achieved by the Paramatman alone. Hence, even in that sense, Paramatman is Sadhu, the noble is one interpretation, the righteous is one interpretation, the one who is skillful or extremely competent in achieving everything, and then being all pervasive, it is him who achieves everything. So these three beautiful layers of meanings are brought out to the term Sadhu. The ninth term is Janhu. Janan samhara samaye apanhute apanayati iti Janhu. During dissolution or during the annihilation of the creation, the one who removes, hides the people into the causal state. He is Janhu. So, apanhute apanayati iti Janhu. Apanhute, apanhava means hiding, and apanayati, the one who removes. So, removing, the one who removes or the one who hides. So, the one who removes or hides the people or the creation into its causal state during dissolution or the pralaya samaya. So because of that, the Paramatman is the one who hides or leads to the dissolution of the universe, and hence he is presented in this nama as Janhu. He is described in this through this nama as Janhu. Or there is another interpretation, Jahatyavidushaha bhaktan nayati param padamitiva. Jahatyavidushaha bhaktan nayati param padamitiva. So that is leaving behind the one who are not enlightened enough, and the one who takes the devotees to the great abode, he is Janhu. So previously, apanhute, apanayati, from that root, Janhu was derived. Here, jahati, iti Janhu, the one, so jahati and nayati. So these two verbal forms, they contribute to Janhu. So ja indicates jahati, the one who leaves behind. Nayati, the one who takes or the one who leads. So who is left behind? Those who have not worked towards enlightenment. So they are left behind. They have to yet work for their enlightenment. And then those who have worked through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, and jnana yoga, they become enlightenment. And then to them what happens? Nayati, he takes them to the highest abode, the Paramapada, the Vaikuntha. So Jahati Nayati iti Janhu, the one who leaves behind those who are not enlightened enough through bhakti, karma, jnana, etc. And the one who leads Nayati, the bhaktas, the jnanis to the highest abode, he is Janhu. So two interpretations to the term Janhu. Then the 10th term, Narayanaha. There are a few interpretations to this term. Naraha, Atma, Tataha Jatani, Akashadini, Narani, Karyani, Tani, Ayam Karanatmana Vyapnotiti, Atascha Tani Ayanamasyeti, Atascha Tan Yayanamasyeti. Nara is Atman and Nara refers to the effects such as Akasha, that Akasha, Vayu, and all the elements that emerged from him. So Nara, Nara. So all that emerge from the Nara is Nara. And Atman pervades the effects being the cause. So the effect always resides in the cause. Previously also we saw the proximate cause, the upadana karana, the pervasive cause of the universe, the elements therein is the Paramatman, and hence the Paramatman resides in his effects, the Naras. So thus those effects are the dwelling places. Ayana, Narani, Ayanam, Asyeti. So being the cause of the elements, the Naras, so those Naras are the dwelling places, Ayanam, for the Paramatman. It is well known that the cause resides in its effect, and hence Narayana refers to the indwelling Paramatman in all his manifestations, especially in the form of the Panchabhutas. This interpretation is substantiated, or to this interpretation we see yaccha kinchid jagat sarvam drishyate shruyate piva antar bahishcha tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitah. So all the bhutas, so within and without, the Paramatman has permeated into all the manifest beings. So both as the effect and also the cause. So that is the first interpretation that is given to the term Narayana. Further, this specific interpretation that the Akasha and others emerged and they are termed as Naras. So that is from the Mahabharata, and this is also found a verse in the Narasimha Purana which says Narajatani Tatvani Naraniti Tato Viduhu, and so on. So based on the Shruti Vachana, Yaccha Kinchit Jagat Sarvam, and also the Purana and Mahabharata Vachana, Narajatani Tatvani. So Narayana is presented, or the meaning of the term Narayana is presented as the indwelling cause of the effects such as the bhutas like the Akasha, Vayu, etc. So this is the first interpretation to the term Narayana. Now the second interpretation, Naranam Jivanam Ayanatvat Pralaye Itiva Narayanaha. So being the source or the dwelling place for all individual souls during the time of dissolution, he is Narayana. So again the term Narayana as Nara and Ayana. Ayana is dwelling place. Naranam Ayana. Nara here refers to Jivatmans. So during the Pralaya Samaya, during the time of dissolution, all the Jivatman, the entire creation goes back into the Paramatman, especially here in the second interpretation, Naras here is presented as the Jivatmans. So the Jivatmans go back or reside or dwell in the source, that is the Paramatman, hence being the source of the Naras, being the source of the Jivatmans, the Paramatman is called as Narayana. Yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. So this, to this we have this Taittiriya Upanishad Vachana, which indicates that the Jivatmans go back into the Paramatman during the Pralaya Samaya. Naranam ayanam tasmat. So this interpretation of the Jivatman, so the Narayana being the source or the dwelling place of the Jivatmans, to that we have a Purana Vachana. The Brahmavivarta Purana Vachana is also there. Naranam ayanam tasmat. So that is also presented by Acharya while interpreting or presenting the second interpretation. There is a third interpretation. Apo Nara iti prokta. Nara vai Narasunavaha. Ayanam tasya tah purvam. Tena Narayana smritaha iti manuvachanadva Narayanaha. Water is Nara, as the water emerged from Nara. The water, they were the waters or the primordial waters, they were the substratum of the Paramatman, and hence he is Narayana. To explain this, there are two components, Nara and Ayana. So Nara, according to Manu, are waters because they have emerged from Nara. Nara is the Paramatman. Having emerged from Nara, the waters are Nara. And those waters are the Ayanam, or the dwelling place of the Paramatman. So in the form of the Vatapatra Shayi, the Paramatman, the Balakrishna, floats around in the leaf in those primordial waters. And hence, the Paramatman, who is having the Naras as his Ayanam, becomes Narayana. The 11th term is Naraha. Nayatiti Narah Proktaha Paramatma Sanatanaha iti Vyasavachanat. The one who leads is Nara, the eternal Paramatman. This is according to the statement of sage Vyasa in the Puranas. So the term Nara is derived by the etymology Nayati iti Naraha. The one who leads is Nara. So who is the one who leads? Previously also we saw in the course of discussion of various namas, it is the Paramatman who leads, who guides, who is responsible for the enlightenment or even the creation to happen, the sustenance to happen, and the destruction or annihilation to happen. So the one who leads the entire creation. So hence Paramatman, Sanatana, the eternal Paramatman, is the one who leads us. So this is based on, this interpretation is based on a Purana Vachana by sage Vyasa. So with these 11 namas in verse 26, we have thus far completed 247 namas. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.